All right, this is the Grumpy Meeple, and we are back with the second part of our Chronicles of Drunagor Start Here playthrough guide. There's been a couple of changes since the last video. I've added a new kind of tripod ring light thing to my setup down here to try and get some more direct lighting onto the table and get the camera positioned a little bit better. So we'll see how that works out. It's also been a day or two since I set this up. I've been having some technical difficulties with my camera. I'm still learning how to do all this. My camera is my phone, and so if somebody calls me in the middle of when I'm taping or something, it really throws me off. So I'm still getting used to how all this works, but basically I'm going to pick up right where we were, which was we had just finished the first setup, basically. And so we're going straight into the first hero turn. So on its turn, a hero can move up to 3 spaces. Both orthogonal and diagonal movement is allowed, and use up to 2 action cubes. So as a move action, move Vorn to the indicated position. So 1, 2, 3. He moves right up to there. Vorn is a melee-focused hero. I'm not sure if you can see that or not. It's a little harder to tell with this new setup. Vorn is a melee-focused hero, and therefore he is not yet within reach to use his main skills. So to get closer to his opponent, Vorn will use the skill Bull Rush. In order to use a skill, he has to use a cube of the color associated with the skill. So Bull Rush is over here on his player board, which is off screen, so you won't quite be able to see that. But but it's also represented here in the book. And so to use it, you just spend a green cube. So I've got my green cube. I'm going to spend it on Bull Rush, which is a spell, so it's going to hit automatically because spells always hit. He gets to move 3 and then up to 2 target adjacent enemies take 2 damage. So, and according to the player guide, he needs to move basically to the next spot. So he moves right there, and he hits the skeleton for 2 damage, reducing his hit points from 6 to 4. Okay. The cube used by Vorn to execute his Bull Rush skill will remain allocated to his skill until it's recovered through a recall action. Vorn will still be able to execute 1 more cube action this turn. The Skeleton Archer rookie still has 4 life points, and Vorn can try to hit him with his skill Arcing Swing, which is a yellow melee skill. So, Arcing Swing, and maybe I will just move this over for the moment at least. Really wish I had that hero tray. There's an add-on that gives you a game tray for your heroes, and that would make it much easier to move this stuff around for the stream. Arcing Swing is right here, and let's see if it's, you know what, I'm just gonna go ahead and read it. So it's a melee attack, cleave 2 plus 3 to hit. So his weapon requires a hit of 7 or better, and Arcing Swing adds 3 to whatever he rolls. So they tell you in the guide here, melee skills can only target enemies that are adjacent to the hero, while ranged red skills can target enemies that are within an area blue square away. And it tells you a hero can always target himself if allowed to, regardless of the skill type it is using. Attack skills are divided into 2 categories: weapon attacks, which are the kind of crossed swords, and spell attacks like the Bull Rush that we just did. Weapon attacks tend to inflict more damage. However, they require an attack roll to be successful. Spell attacks always hit their target, but they do less damage. To be successful, an attack roll must meet the accuracy value displayed on your weapon, which we talked about. It's 7 on his jagged blade axe there. So in this example, use the melee skill, arcing swing, and suppose you rolled a 4. So, boop. Look at that. I rolled a 4. With his skill plus 3 hit bonus, he gets a total of 7. So the attack is a success, and the skeleton takes 3 damage. So takes him down to 1 hit point, but he is still alive. And I've spent a yellow action cube to do that. Now it's the skeleton's turn because he's next in the initiative order. So our initiative tracker, which is kind of above the board a little bit. Let me see if I can zoom back out a little. You can see here. Here's the initiative track. It was on Vorn. Now it moves left to right, and then it would move down. There's nothing down. It just moves straight to the skeleton archer. Okay. Skeleton archer has 1 hit point left, and it is his turn. So, the monsters attack. AOD monsters have an AI that guides their behavior, and the philosophy behind a monster's turn is to always try to attack as many heroes as it can. They don't need to make an attack roll. They always hit, and it's up to the hero to find a way to avoid or defend. Both heroes and monsters cannot perform ranged attacks while adjacent to an enemy, being considered to be engaged in combat. You can find details about engagement on page 24 of the rule. So basically the skeleton is going to move and then attack. Skeleton archer, rookie's movement is 4, so he'll move away from Vorn the minimum amount he can in order to get within range after the movement and attack him. We know his movement is 4 because it is on his card. It's right there, if you can see that. Skeleton archer, rookie attack has range 1, multi-shot 2, poison 1. All that is captured on the card as well, which they handily kind of snapshot here, which I could have just pointed to that for their movement. And his attack inflicts 3 damage. Details of each keyword can be found on page 48 of the rulebook. So range 1 refers to the range of the attack, whereas multi-shot specifies that it can target up to 2 enemies. Poison is a condition that will be inflicted as a side effect if the attack manages to cause at least 1 damage. So if the attack doesn't do any damage, the poison doesn't take effect. And so what's this guy going to do? He needs to not be adjacent to Vorn anymore. And so he's going to move to the closest spot that is not adjacent to Vorn, basically, but still within range for attack. So now he is within range 1, because all these squares in this blue area are range 1 away from him. This would be range 1, 2, I believe. This would be range 2. Anyways, so he's doing the attack. It's doing 3 damage, but Vorn is going to react to it. So in addition to attacking, a hero also has some defensive abilities he can use even on a monster's turn in response to their attacks. These skills are called reactions, and they're indicated by the lightning bolt symbol. So in this example, I can use the plate armor has a reaction ability called Endure. Affects self, prevents 3 damage, takes any cube. So I can spend a red cube, which is a ranged cube, to engage Endure, which blocks 3 damage. He's only doing 3 damage, So he doesn't do any damage, and the poison doesn't happen either, because he didn't get his damage off. And so I'm left with 2 available action cubes, a melee and a wisdom cube. And the skeleton archer only has 1 hit point left. Yeah, right here. Okay. So, moving on, the initiative marker basically makes its way all the way through the board and then comes back around to Vorn. And so it becomes Vorn's turn again. Yeah, so this is the current board state. 1 door, Vorn, and the skeleton archer. So then we move on to the second round. And I think I'll finish the second round, and then the third round will make up its own video, another video. Vorn is yet to deliver the final blow against skeleton archer rookie. For this, he will use a spell attack that doesn't require a die roll to ensure his success. So the skeleton only has one hit point left, and so what they're saying is the most efficient action, or the guaranteed kill, is to use a spell which can't miss. Attacks that you're doing with the attack symbol, you're rolling the die, and so you could roll badly. But a spell will always hit. And so it's saying move Vorn to the indicated position, starting your move action. So he moves to here. And he's going to stop there, thereby forfeiting the rest of his movement. Oh, I'm really sorry, guys. Just really fumbling through this tonight. I'll be interested to see how this looks, actually. It's really hard to see on this tripod. And then he's going to use his wisdom cube to activate Whirlwind of Steel. Whirlwind of Steel. It's a spell. Cast it on yourself. Gives you shield 2, up to 2 target adjacent enemies take 1 damage, and it costs 1 blue cube. Get 2 shield tokens. I'll just take a double-sided one. And do 1 damage to the skeleton, which defeats him. Skeleton goes bye-bye. As soon as he's defeated, his initiative card comes off the board. Easy peasy, lizard squeezy. If anybody has kids and they've seen PJ Masks 8,000 times like I have, you'll get that reference. Yeah. So after Vorn's attack is resolved, the skeleton archer's miniature should be removed, and since it was the last of the skeleton archer miniatures, you remove its card from the initiative track. Now it goes on to tell you about the doors. And this is an area where there are a couple things I have a problem with in this start guide right off the bat. So first of all, they don't call this out, and they really should, but what you're setting up here is actually the first mission or chapter in the adventure book. So you're just playing it, but without any of the narrative. You can see this is the same board, right? The same setup and the same door 01. This is really annoying because what this means is, you either have to play through this in the kind of guide and then read the narrative, most of which would have happened prior to your actions, or you have to play through it again and just go through the exact same quest. They really should have made a separate mission for this setup. In addition, the setup in the guide is based off of the card in this book. Okay, but it tells you, once you've fought and defeated the skeleton archer, You are ready to open the next door safely. Keep in mind that when you open a door, a few things must happen. To open a door, you have to be adjacent to it and use the minor action open a door. You can learn more about minor actions on page 25 of the rulebook. When opened, a door will present a new setup that will be added to the existing one. The yellow arrow is where the connection to the previous map door happens. So again, you know, you could use either the picture or the door card. And then they just call out that the door has two special rules that we'll want to pay attention to. So let's kind of go through the narrative and then we'll set up the next area. So it says, through the shattered shutters of a humble cottage, you can see a woman screaming desperately for help as more monstrosities creep closer. In her arms, she holds a bawling child, a knife fluttering at her throat. Stay back, she screams. You will not turn us into your damn creatures. You slosh through a puddle, drawing the attention of the creatures. Some turn to halt your advance, while a black hooded figure continues towards the cottage. There is no time to waste. And the special rules are basically, you're going to spawn a shadow cultist, and the shadow cultist spawns darkness at the beginning of each of its activations. And so you're going to draw a rune tile from the bag and place it spawning from the shadow cultist and heading towards the heroes. And then the second special rule is when the last monster is defeated and you've interacted with the interaction token, read end of the adventure, return to camp on page 5.